red button.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this newest edition of Blitzkrieg. This is Remlays from 40K Theories.
And this is Fiaura, and we're looking at squats.
Yes, because quite frankly, we couldn't decide on which race to do next, and so we've settled on a tiebreaker being squats. Now, for those of you who are too young to remember, squats were a race featured in the first and, to a minor extent, the second editions of Warhammer 40,000. They were essentially space dwarves. And their fluff was an absolute mess. Their lore indicates them being little space Vikings, but all their models had them as being bikers, because Games Workshop apparently couldn't get their shit together. But they have some absolutely insane vehicles, albeit not too many of them.
You say absolutely insane vehicles, and what I'm looking at, I'm going, what why did you go to this extreme? So
yes, so let's look at the first one, which is the Squat Colossus. The Squat Colossus is the closest thing the squats have to a main battle tank. It's the size of a city block, and it is absolutely armed to the teeth. It has a Doomsday cannon, a Thunderer cannon, 4 plasma missiles, 8 battle cannons, 16 heavy bolters, and even has a landing pad for an Iron Eagle gyrocopter for reconnaissance. It has 6 void shields and thick armor plating, which, as you'll see later on the Leviathan, is several meters thick.
Now, I did contact... Now before we start, a couple things I want to remind people of. Since Games Workshop releases absolutely no engineering specs on anything revolving around their shields, even though we do have modern projections and can actually put up what is considered an energy shield for a few seconds, I can't speculate on what the shields are capable of. Second, some of these weapons I don't have a real world counterpart to, but I do have some people who have a lot of squat vehicles who are my close friends. So I talked to them religiously all week to try to find out as much information as I could. For a start, squat vehicles that we have here have no speed whatsoever. And so everything is slow. However, that much said, holy crap, why do you literally have 6 meters of armor? We measure armor today in millimeters. And on every other vehicle that we've come across, they measured armor in millimeters of thickness.
What was the thickest armor of any vehicle that wasn't a walker that we've looked at so far? It was probably the Baneblade, wasn't it?
The Baneblade had just, I think, 200 some odd millimeters of armor.
So about two to 3 inches thick worth of armor, essentially.
And this is literally 36 to 800 inches of armor. How do you... these are this is a rolling fortress, okay? The plasma missiles are equivalent to Scud missiles in terms of accuracy and range and destructive capability. It has enough heavy bolters on it to literally pin down infantry. The only turreted weapons are the battle cannons. The Doomsday and Thunderer cannon basically fire straight ahead. And it seems the squats went with the idea of how much firepower and how much armor can we slap on this, but it'll only go 3 kilometers an hour. I don't care.
More darker.
I thought the orcs had some ridiculous weapons of engineering. This is... all of these vehicles are equivalent to the German super heavy tank that went beyond the mouse. I'm trying to remember the name of it right now, but it was huge. Absolutely, this massive, insane design. Here it is. The Land Cruiser P1000 Ratte, which, to put this into perspective for everyone who's curious, it had sponson turrets that went on the mouse and weighed 1,000 tons, 1,100 tons when it was supposedly fully loaded, according to the design specs that never actually got built. Why you would ever build that, I don't know. But the squats seem to have done it.
So basically, this vehicle just moves at the pace of a casual stroll, while raining death just essentially around it.
Yes, and it would be incredibly easy to outmaneuver and avoid the vehicle altogether, more so than actually fight it.
But at the same point, regardless of how easy it is to outmaneuver, if something's going to have several meters worth of armor, how are you even going to hurt it?
This is the type of vehicle where you can't hurt it from the outside. I think you would need a unit of assault troops to actually storm it from the inside out, and then probably blow up the ammunition inside in order to destroy it. But this is the type. This is not so much a vehicle as a mobile fortress, and they only get bigger. Is the scary part for me when looking at the squad. I'm wondering what the squat's battle doctrine is. Like, I couldn't actually find a battle doctrine to go off of, but their battle doctrine is apparently how big can I make it, and how big of a cannon can we slap to the front of it.
I think Scott's battle doctrine is get completely drunk, shoot everyone you can, then go home and get drunk some more.
Sounds about right.
So, moving on, we're going to move on to the Leviathan, which uses the same chassis as the Colossus, and it's their main super heavy transport. And so, at the very least, for transport, if you're going to transport troops inside something with meters thick worth of armor, they're going to be pretty damn safe. Albeit it's going to take them forever to get to their target, but at the same time, if you've got that much protection, you can afford to be a bit slow. And if anyone does try to storm out, I suppose you got all those troops inside going, surprise, motherfucker.
You do have all those troops inside to prevent you from being stormed. This, however, to me is not so much as I have the fluff here, says Army Group Command Centers. This is not an assaulting vehicle. This is, again, we're again using a mobile fortress type of setup, but this is the type of mobile fortress that you send in first. These are like the command fortresses that drive around on planets, ordering around Baneblade columns, because I actually have a picture here of size comparison. The Baneblade is tiny compared to this thing. The Land Raider in this particular picture is barely the size of this thing's cannon. If you have to actually fight these, my best suggestion to you is don't come at it from the front, and make sure you brought plenty of assault troops, because you're going to be storming it rather than trying to shoot through the armor.
Unless you have potentially anti-Titan weaponry.
Even with anti-Titan weaponry, it's going to take a pounding to penetrate meters of armor. As we have seen that even the mighty Reaver Titan only has 400 millimeters of armor. The mighty Imperator Titan only had 2 meters of armor. This thing has 11 meters of frontal armor. Granted, it's all flat, none of it's sloped, but it's still 11 meters thick. That's 33 feet.
You're saying this thing's more heavily armored than a Titan?
Yes. Yes. The specs I got from my friends who regularly play Warhammer Apocalypse showed this thing as 11 meters of armor. That's 33 feet. If you want to know how truly thick that is, I want you to go outside, and I want you to walk heel to toe 33 steps, and then look at the distance you walked. That is how much armor you were hacking through. Now,
so I say that, it's not like the squads don't fuck around, do they?
They don't. They seem to want this idea. You talked about them being like Vikings. Their idea of being Vikings is to send out all the raiders while they put down mobile fortresses that the raiders come back to bring all the loot back to. The problem, of course, being that it's extremely slow, and is this defect with having huge, thick layers of armor. It's very hard to maintain, and when it starts taking damage, it really starts taking more damage in places you can't see. Because while the outside might be holding up and withstanding, the inside is cracking. And you can't see that, and it's extremely difficult to repair that. So over time, or over a prolonged battle, these vehicles will break down very quickly as their internal armor starts cracking and breaking and buckling, until eventually it collapses in on itself from a hit, and then you just have a huge hole. But it's going to take 11 meters of armor. Hell, a Iowa-class battleship didn't have 11 meters of armor. It had 24 inches of armor. To put this in comparison, 11 meters of armor is 36 times 11, 396 inches of armor.
Jesus.
So while an Iowa-class battleship might have had as much armor as the length of your wrist to your shoulder, this thing has as much armor as the length of your house. That is just a solid wall of metal. How you crafted that, I don't even know. But I also know that you can... Now the defects with it, of course, are going to be, one, it has no weaponry on the back. There's nothing but a couple of bolter turrets that can shoot out the back and a couple of las guns. It has very limited vision ports, except for the gunner sights. So if you aren't sighted by any of the gunners, you can easily sneak up on this thing. The next problem is its tracks are huge. If one of those road wheels is destroyed, it is completely immobilized. And the main cannon is fixed forward. So an immobilized version of a Leviathan is basically relying on its secondary weaponry to keep it alive. Lastly, if you want to get behind this thing and just storm it from behind. I imagine the traverse speed is only 3 or 4 degrees a second. Whereas with a Baneblade, we had a 20-something traverse speed on the hull. A Lehman Russ has a 35 degree per second traverse speed. Getting behind this thing, it will literally take forever to turn around.
Can I just say, you know how the Orcs looted Baneblades and gave them supercharged engines to take up the entirety of the hull?
Yeah.
Can you imagine if the Orcs did the same thing to a Colossus or a Leviathan? Most big red paint job, an engine that literally takes up half a city block.
No! Please no! Please no!
And considering the Orcs, one of their favourite tactics with vehicles is to literally just ram into you. Several meters worth of frontal armor, it would be absolutely devastating if the Orcs decide to loot one and basically, give it more speed.
Yeah, the Orcs would give it more speed, which would...
If that thing rammed into anything at even at 30 kilometers an hour, it would probably just absolutely destroy anything in its path, just from sheer weight.
Pretty much.
And speaking of absolute destruction, next up we got the Cyclops. Now, it's not to be confused with the Imperial Cyclops. That's a completely different vehicle. The squat Cyclops, again, based on a Colossus chassis, is designed for destroying other squat vehicles, just to give you an idea how potent its weaponry is. Its primary weapon is a Hell Fury cannon. Now, the Hell Fury cannon is a weapon that was designed to be mounted onto starships for space battles. It's designed for blowing up spaceships. And for secondary weapons, it has melter cannons, which are forward front mounted to complement the Hell Fury cannon, as well as a battle cannon, Doomstorm missiles, and also several pintle-mounted bolters.
Now, I did actually get a wattage figure for the Hell Fury cannon.
This should be good.
2 trillion gigajoules.
2 trillion.
2 trillion gigavolts.
Now, compare it to something that basic viewers at home would be familiar with.
A modern anti-missile laser system, that is such as the one mounted on the Israeli Merkava, operates in 10 megavolts. It is capable of peeling the skin off of a tow missile in less than a second and shooting it out of the sky. This thing is firing at a rate of, well, how should I put this? 1 million times that. Times 2.
Well, damn.
This is... I am surprised we have not seen more 40k weapons where they basically took a cannon off a Emperor-class battleship and went, let's put this on a Titan. Why hasn't anybody else done this?
This is the reason why the squats were wiped out. They were actually too damn powerful.
This cannon, like... Yes, it only fires in one direction. It's mounted on the Colossus chassis. This particular model comes with 8 meters of armor instead of 11. Yeah, let's just take 30 inches of armor. 108 inches of armor off. Doing the math in my head. 108 inches of armor off. And, it's still got 8 meters. Not to mention the fact it also comes with the plasma missiles, battle cannons, multi-meltas, melta cannons, heavy bolters, storm bolters. Why did... You basically have the Doomsday gun. I don't know that you need all the other firepower, but you know what? Let's go with it.
More Dakar. There's always room for more Dakar. You should know this by now, Fiaura.
I know, there's always room for more DACA. Apparently the squats wanted to out-DACA the orcs.
No wonder the orcs didn't like him
I think
much.
they have succeeded. How long... Now, the biggest defect I can see with the squat vehicles so far is speed and logistics. One of these things is going to take months to build. They're obviously all going to be handcrafted masterpieces while you're at it. So there's no quote-unquote standardization where I can just roll these off an assembly line. They're going to take literally a legion of soldiers, like an entire Imperial Guard battalion, to keep one of these things supplied with ammunition, fuel, food for the guys inside, and spare parts. And if they get outflanked and shot in the rear, they're not going to be able to turn around and engage what's behind them. You're going to have somebody else do it. So they need a constant series of supporting troops around them to keep them from being outflanked. Basically, if you really want to kill a squat vehicle on one of these Colossus chassis, is kill everybody around it and then get behind it and start shooting it from the rear until you can board it. But I don't honestly know if the void shields are down, and I'm not gonna say anything against void shields. I think it's an awesome concept. I just wish I had some specs for it. But if the void shields are down on an enemy Titan, I don't honestly know an enemy Titan could withstand a hit from a Hell Fury cannon.
Considering that the Hell Fury cannon was essentially mounted on the Colossus chassis just because the squads wanted ways to destroy their own vehicles during civil wars, and considering how thick the armor of squat vehicles is, a Titan whose armor is only 1/3 the thickness isn't going to stand a chance.
The only way I can see a Titan really standing a chance is what is considered overpenetration or blow-through. And that is that the Hell Fury cannon shoots into them and doesn't actually hit a vital system. It just creates a big hole that might knock out a few things, but the Titan is still operational for the most part. But if this thing were aimed at, say, center mass of Imperator Titan whose void shields have been knocked out, and it hits the core, the whole Titan's dead. The armor's not going to withstand a hit.
It hits the core, the whole Titan's dead, and everything within a kilometer radius will probably be dead as well.
Also, I can imagine that blow-through is a powerful factor with this particular vehicle if it, say, depresses the gun down and aims at a tank column. This is the scary part for this particular weapon. If it were to aim this at a tank column, it would blow through several dozen tanks if they could get them in a straight line. So, tactically speaking, you have to attack these vehicles en masse, destroy their supporting troops around them so that they can't prevent you from outflanking it, and outflank it and storm it with assault troops. That is how you kill these things. You do not actually expect your guns to kill them. I don't know any weapons we've examined so far besides their own weapons that are designed to kill these squat titans. There's just no... It's not fathomable to me that the volcano cannon on a Reaver Titan is going to do anything to this thing. The barrel of this Hell Fury cannon is 5 meters thick of adamantium armor. The barrel is 5 meters thick. You can... To illustrate how large that is, the average person is 2.8 to 3 meters tall. You literally could stand a person on the edge of the barrel and they would not actually reach out past the barrel.
Well, damn.
But again, logistics is going to kill you. I don't want the squats weren't wiped out because they had bad designs. It's because they couldn't keep this thing supplied. And
the Tyrannids them.
Yeah, there's that too. But you can't expect to keep these type of vehicles supplied consistently, and you cannot expect to get enough of them into the field. Unless
at the same time, are you going to really need more than one of these things in the field? Because let's be honest, you see several armies, they see one of these squat Cyclopses come at them, they're probably just going to go, yeah, fuck that. Unless they got orbital bombardment helping them.
I think even with orbital bombardment, if you could get the Cyclops aimed up properly, you might be able to actually shoot back at the battleships in orbit. That would... I could just imagine a Marine strike cruiser going, "Sir, we're being locked onto by what? Something from the... Oh, God!" And there's like a formation of 3 of these things firing at the Space Marine strike cruisers. And the Space Marines just go, "Well, nice knowing you, battle brother."
Kiss your ass goodbye, laddie.
But again, I imagine that these are also going to be a very high priority on the list of must kill.
Yeah.
So, that much said, we've now gone over their Titans.